Hello, friends. Welcome to Dream to Done, the podcast for moms who are ready to discover their dreams and goals again and actually do them. If you've been feeling a little lost in motherhood, I'm here to get you off the back burner and start taking a turn for yourself. I'm your host, Jessica Erickson, a certified life coach and your accountability cheerleader. Each week, you'll hear tips and tricks on doing life with a few kids, interviews with inspiring guests, and real talk on momming. I want you to discover your dreams, even in the messy middle of motherhood, because you deserve happiness too. You will also see that a mom achieving her goals and dreams lifts those around her. You deserve to take a turn in your life without feeling guilty. I am always cheering for you. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Dream to Done podcast. I am your host, Jessica Erickson. Now, with school starting, last week we talked about what to do when you're going to have a whole lot of time open up. And I just wanted to touch base on sometimes that's not the problem. Sometimes people have a ton of time and they just don't know what to do with it. Let me give you an example. So sometimes I have people that will come and talk to me and say, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And I'm like, "Sure." And they say, "I just have so many things that I want to do that I don't know where to start." And I had this particular experience happen recently. A new friend came and was like, "Can we chat?" I was like, "Sure." She's like, "I heard you're a life coach. Can I ask you a couple questions?" "Sure." And she said, "There's just so many things that I want to do and I don't know where to start." And so I was kind of asking some questions like, what kind of things? Like, "I want to do a play." "Okay, well, have you done one before?" "Yeah, I used to do them all the time. But when I started having kids, I didn't do them anymore. But now my kids are a little bit older and I could." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "But I'm also a really, really good cook." And I was like, "Oh, cool. You're like really talented. That's awesome." She's like, "Yeah. And I've been thinking maybe I could do like a food truck. That would be really cool. I'd really like to do that." And I was like, "This sounds amazing. Wow." And then there were like 3 other things that she was like, "And I would also really love to do this. And I'd love to do this." But I couldn't do all of those. And so I have to choose. And I can't figure out which one to choose. So I just haven't done anything. And my ding life coach brain immediately kicked in. And I was like, "Oh, you're in overwhelm." And she was like, oh, yeah, I guess so. So when we are overwhelmed, that's a state where we think that there's too much of something. So too many things to do, too many choices. And the interesting thing with overwhelm is that we usually just don't do any of it. We end up sitting on the fence trying to decide which thing to do. And while we're deciding, we're scrolling on social media, we're watching tons of TV, or we're just filling our time with other things because we're in this constant state of trying to decide. And we just can't seem to come to any decisions, so we just don't do any of it. That, my friends, is overwhelm, 100%. And so that was where this friend was at. So first thing I did was start challenging her limiting beliefs. And I know we've talked about that before, but she said, "Oh, well, I can't do all of them." And I was like, "Well, why not? Why can't you do them all?" And she was like, "Well, I mean, they just take up a lot of time." And I'm like, "Okay, well, could you do one and then do the other?" And she was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Well, could you be auditioning for a play and also working on your recipes for your food truck?" "Yeah, I could do that." And then the light clicked on. And so she started telling me all of the ways she could be in a play and have a food truck. And we talked about how she could do the food truck first and get the food truck going and then hire an employee to do it on the nights that she wanted to go be in a play. And anyway, we came up with all sorts of ideas. And it was so interesting how she started coming up with the ideas. She knew that it was possible, but not until that limiting belief got challenged was she able to even let herself go there. So once she was like, "Yay, I could do lots of things at the same time, or I could do them in an order and like get them all going." And so we came up with like a bunch of different, options where she could do them and could do them all, maybe even all at the same time. Probably not recommended, but at least in an order. And the light in her eyes was so like brilliant. And it was like she was being released from like this prison of, I can't do any of it because I don't know which one to do, to being free to be like, I could do these and I could do all of them. Now, again, I don't want you to feel like you have to do all of them because lots of times we've got lots of skills and there's lots of things we're interested in, and that's okay. But you can choose. You can choose to do one. In fact, let me just give you some of my hot tips. First of all, if you are feeling overwhelmed, I want you to do a brain dump. Now, I do have that worksheet from a couple weeks ago. So I want you to go get that. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. So it's the same thing. We're going to do a body scan. We're going to figure out how we're feeling. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you realize that you've got all these things you want to do and you're just feeling stuck, that's overwhelmed. I will tell you, like, when I feel overwhelmed, I typically feel like a tight, like rubber band, like surrounding my chest. Like I feel like I'm literally like trapped by a rubber band. That's like this ginormous rubber band that's just like squeezing my middle. There's just like, that's the feeling I get. It's going to be different for you. But whatever that feeling is, when you feel it, I want you to recognize it and call it out. Be like, oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And when you do, here are my top tips. Number one, write everything down. Write down all of the crazy things you want to do, right? I wrote down once, I was like, it would be really cool to own an airplane. And where did that come from? I don't know, but like somewhere in my mind, it was up there. So I just wrote down all of the things that you want to do. Write it down, get it out on paper. The next thing I want you to do is look and see if there's like an ABC or like a 1, 2, 3. Like it's one thing if you're like, hey, what's a great example here? Well, you go with the food truck. I want to start a food truck. Well, you might want to do recipes first. You might want to get a business license first. You might want to see how much it costs to own a food truck and if there's one available in your area. So there's lots of ways that you could start, but maybe there's one that you do have to do before you do a second. Like for me, I wanted my website done before I started launching courses because I needed the website in order to have people go there to sign up for the course. Does that make sense? So it's like a very clear, like 1, 2, 3. For some of my kids, like Lorelai wanted to do a triple turn. And I was like, well, do you have a double turn yet? And she's like, kind of, but not quite. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do the double turn and then we'll work on the triple turn and then the quad and we'll keep adding. If you want to do a back flip, maybe learning how to do a back handspring first is a good place to start. So there's lots of things that might be A, B, C, or lots of things where I need to do this before I do that. And if that is true, then I want you to put them in order and start with the first one. But sometimes there is no clear order. And that's where we get stuck because there's no clear order. We don't know what to do first. Again, overwhelm kicks in and we do nothing. So we don't want that. So I want you to just pick anything. Pick anything off the list. You can randomly pick it. Another option is to pick the easiest thing. Sometimes when we pick the easiest thing to do, it's fast, it's easy, and it gives us momentum. Now we've got some momentum going and we're like, oh, well, I knocked that out. Like, sure. Like, oh, I got the recipes. Well, now I can go get a business license. This is getting easier. I've already checked something off. So write it down. Figure out if there is an ABC, if there is an order that you need to do things in. If not, pick something at random. And if that doesn't feel good, pick the easiest thing to do. Just pick the easiest and get momentum, get going. Okay, now, sometimes coming back to like, sometimes it's time, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're overwhelmed. But either way, if the thing holding you back from your goals is time or overwhelm, what you actually need is a clear plan. And if you're struggling with coming up with a clear plan, I'm going to help you develop that in week 5 of our 6-week course coming up called Back to School, Back to You. I am so excited to help my clients jumpstart this school year and jumpstart their goals, getting everything they need to make this year, the 2025-26 school year, a total success. Make this the year that you actually did the thing that's been on your list for many years, maybe. If you want to join me, we are going to do a kickoff call, which is free, where I will be talking about our scheduling and then more about the course. Pause because I can't remember when we're doing that and I don't know where my paper went. I hope you will join me at our back to school open house on August 18th. The details will be in the show notes. And then if you're going to join me for the back to school, back to you 6-week course, that is going to start the following week, August 25th. I cannot tell you how excited I am to work with this small group of people to get them going on their goals. Again, if it's time or if it's overwhelm, I want to help you get over it so you are discovering your dreams and doing them. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Dream to Done. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much if you would leave a rating and review. It helps more moms like you find the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. I'll see you in next week's episode. I'm always cheering for you. See you next week.